Hello all and welcome back. When you're working with VBA, at some point of time or the other, you will have to manipulate strings to get the desired results. In this video, I bring to you 10 commonly used string functions which will help you to, let's say, extract string from a string, trim spaces around it, change the case of one string to the other from lowercase to uppercase or uppercase to proper case and so on. There are so many other things I'll be covering in this video. So let's begin. We will now launch the Visual Basic Editor. If you're not sure what Visual Basic Editor is, then I recommend watching the video Visual Basic Editor and Introduction. We will press the shortcut key Alt F11 to launch the Visual Basic Editor. Once the Visual Basic Editor is launched, right-click on the VBA project and then under Insert, click on Module to insert a module. The first function which I will cover is len. Though it is not a string function, but it is mostly used with strings. When you use len with strings, it returns the number of characters the string contains. And if used with, say, a numeric type such as long, then it returns the number of bytes. Let's understand this with an example. I'm going to quickly type some code. And we are done. So what I have here is I have got 4 different variables. One is a string, one is a date, the other is a long, and temperature is a double. So what I'm doing is I'm using debug.print to show the length of a particular variable. Like I said, when you use len with strings, it returns the number of characters in the string, and if it is used with a numeric type, then it returns the number of bytes. So let's see what the first 4 debug.print returns. And then what I have done is I have set a value to the weather variable, and then I'm checking what is the length of weather again. Since the output will be sent to the immediate window, let me increase the size of the immediate window so that we can see the output in the immediate window. And I'm going to put a breakpoint in debug.print len weather. If you're not aware how to put a breakpoint or what exactly is a breakpoint, then do see my previous video, which is Error Handling and Debugging Part 2. Now let's run the code. Click on the Run Sub User Form button or simply press the shortcut key F5. When I run this, the code stops at debug.print. Now I'm going to press F8 and it tells me the length of the variable weather, which is a string, is 0. If I press F8 again, it gives me 8. I'm getting 8 because the variable is a date type, and what I'm seeing here is the number of bytes which is being returned. The next variable is a long, which is total sales. So if I press 8, I get 4. Let's see what do we get for temperature, and I get 8 again. So temperature is a double, so double also returns 8 as the number of bytes. Now I will store the value today is a rainy day in the weather variable, which is a string variable. So I press F8 again, and now let's check what is the length. The moment I press F8, I get 20. That is because earlier the length of the weather variable was 0, and after we stored the value in the weather variable, the length that we got here is 20. Let's check. So this is 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. So the weather variable has a string which has got 20 characters. The space is also counted as a character, and hence we got 20. So I hope it's clear how len is used. Now the next function which we will cover is left. I'm going to stop this code. The left function returns a string containing a specified number of characters from the left side of the string. So in this example, if I want to extract 5 characters from the left, then this is how I would do it. So what I'll do is I'll just copy this code and I will insert a new module and I'll paste the code there. And then I will delete the rest of the variables. And I will also delete these debug.print. I'll keep weather variable and the value as it is, and I'll delete this as well. So I will type debug.print. The function is left, The moment I type the start parenthesis, VBA prompts that I need to provide a string. So I type weather and then I press comma. Now it is asking me how many characters do I want to extract from the left side. So like I said, I want to extract 5. So I'm going to type 5 and I am going to close the parenthesis and I'm going to clear the immediate window. Now when I run this, see what do I get? I get today. So what left is doing here is it is extracting 5 characters from the left side of this string. Just like we have left function to extract characters from left, we have the right function to extract characters from the right. So if I change the code to right and then if I type 3 here and then I will clear the immediate window, and if I run this code I get day. So the text is now extracted from the right, and since I specified 3 characters, I only got 3 characters. If I use 9, then see what do I get? I'm going to delete this. I get rainy day because from R to Y it's 9 characters. Now what if I wanted to extract text from the middle of the sentence? For that we have something which is called a mid function. The mid function helps in extracting a substring from a string at any position. The syntax of mid is mid string start length. The mid function syntax has these named arguments. String is a string expression from which characters are returned. If string contains null, then null is returned. Start is the character position in string at which the part to be taken begins. If start is greater than the number of characters in string, mid obviously returns 0 length string. Length is the number of characters to return. If omitted or if there are fewer than length characters in the text, including the character at the start, then all characters from the start position to the end of the string are returned. Let's understand this using an example. So let's say I want to extract only rainy out of this sentence. So what I will do is I will delete this and then I'll type mid start parenthesis. It is asking for the string, so this is fine. Weather, comma. It is asking from where do I want to start. So I'll have to check. Now this is 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So the 12th character is R. So I want to start from 12th character. And how many characters do I need to extract? I need to extract only 5 in case I want rainy, because rainy has 5 characters. And then I close the parenthesis. I'm going to delete this. Right, so when I run this, see what do I get? It's rainy. Once again, if you press space here, you will see the syntax. Mid, the string that we have to pass, from where do you want to start, and what is the number of characters you want to extract. You can also make mid behave like a left or right function. For example, left weather, comma 5 is nothing but mid weather, comma 1, comma 5. Because what I'm saying here is extract a string from the weather from the first position and extract 5 characters. So left weather, comma 5 is the same as mid weather 1, comma 5. Let's test this. So I'm going to delete this and I'm going to run this. Both should give me the same output. See? Similarly, you can also use right weather, comma 3. You can use mid weather and then I want the length of weather minus 2, comma 3. So what I'm doing is I'm saying in the string weather start from length of weather. We already saw how to calculate length. So length of weather is 20. So 20 minus 2 is 18. So this is 18, 19, 20. So I want to start from the 18th position and I want 3 characters. So if I run this, let's see if we get the same results. And we do. However, it is much simpler to use left and right instead of using mid for such scenarios. Okay, moving on. The next function we will cover is trim. The trim function removes all leading and trailing spaces from text except for single spaces between words. This function is useful when you have received a file from a user which has lot of leading and trailing spaces and you want to clean up the data by removing those extra spaces. Let's take an example. So I'm going to insert space before T and after Y. Let's check what is the length of weather. So I'm going to type len and then I will delete these. Okay, now I'm going to use len and trim together to see what is the new length after I have applied trim to it. So I'll type trim, start parenthesis, and I'll close this. And if I run this, I get 22 and then 20. So without trimming, the length of the string is 22. Earlier it was 20 plus 2 spaces, that's 22. And then I trimmed it so the spaces were removed and the length was 20. So remember, the trim function removes all the leading and trailing spaces from the text. Now what if you wanted to remove spaces only from the left and not from the right? Which function would you use? In such a case, you will use LTrim. So what I will do is I'll just insert L here. It becomes LTrim. And the syntax remains the same. So if you press space here, you'll see that it is only expecting the string. Now if I delete this and if I run this, I get 22 and 21. So it removed only one space from the left. It did not remove the space from the right. And hence the new length was 21. Just like you used LTrim, you can also use RTrim to remove the space from the right. If you run this, you will get the same result, but this time the space will be removed from the right. So if you run this again, you get 22 and 21 again. The next three functions that we will cover will help us in changing the case of a text or a string. These functions are again useful when you have received a file from a user which doesn't have standard format in terms of case. What I mean is it has a mix of lowercase, uppercase or proper case, and depending upon your requirement you may want all of the text to either be in lowercase or uppercase or proper case. Proper case is also known as sentence case. Let's first take the example of lowercase. I'm going to delete this code and I will declare a variable dim employee name as string. Let's say the employee name is Siddharth. Here you will notice that the first character is in uppercase and the last name is also in uppercase. Now let's convert this to lowercase. To do this, use the LCase function. The LCase function returns a string that has been converted to lowercase. The syntax is LCase, start parenthesis, and then the string that you want to convert, and then close parenthesis. Let's test this. So I'm going to type debug.print LCase, start parenthesis, and then employee name. Let's run this. And I get Siddharth Rout all in small letters. Similarly, you can use UCase to convert a string to uppercase. So if I change this L to U and if I run this, okay, before that, let's delete this. And now if I run this, see what do I get? Siddharth Rout all in capital letters. Now what if you want to convert the string to proper case or sentence case? That is, only the first characters should be capitalized and the rest should be in lowercase. So what would you use? Unfortunately, we do not have a function called pcase or scase which converts it to proper case or sentence case. We have a different function which is called StrConv. This function can not only be used to convert text into proper case, but you can also use it to convert the string into upper or lower case. The syntax of strconv is strconv string conversion lcid. The strconv function syntax has these named arguments. String is a string expression to be converted. Conversion is an integer value. the sum of values specifying the type of conversion to perform. LCID, which is optional, is the local ID. The conversion argument settings are as shown in this table. Only the first three are widely used. So for the purpose of this video, we will cover only these three. Let's say I want to convert this string to proper case. Then how can I do it? Debug.print strconv start parenthesis employee name and then comma, and then VBE gives me the options. So I'm going to select proper case and then I'm going to close parenthesis. Let me delete this. Now if I run this, see what do I get? I get Siddharth Rout with capital S and capital R. You can also use strconv to convert a string to lowercase or uppercase. But since we already have two functions LCase and UCase, it is pointless to use strconv to do the same thing. The next function that we are going to cover is the Instr function. The Instr function returns the position of the first occurrence of one string within the other. Let's insert a new module. The syntax of Instr is Instr start string1 string2 compare. The Instr function syntax has these arguments. Start is the numeric expression that sets the starting position for each search. If omitted, search begins at the first character position. If start contains null, an error occurs. The start argument is required if compare is specified. String1 is the string expression being searched. String2 is the string expression sought. Compare, which is optional, specifies the type of string comparison. If compare is null, an error occurs. If compare is omitted, the option compare setting determines the type of comparison. Specify a valid local ID to use local specific rules in the comparison. The compare argument has the following values. VB use compare option. The value of this constant is -1. This performs a comparison by using the setting of the option compare statement. VB binary compare. The value of this constant is 0. It uses a binary comparison. VB text compare. The value of this constant is 1. It performs a textual comparison. And finally, VB database compare, the value of which is 2, but this is only for Microsoft Access. It performs a comparison based on the information in your database. We will not use this here. Now, depending upon what string1 and string2 contains, the Instr can return different values. If string1 is of 0 length, then Instr returns 0. If string1 is null, then Instr returns null. If string2 is 0 length, then Instr returns start. If string2 is null, then Instr returns null. If string2 is not found, then Instr returns 0. If string2 is found within string1, then the position at which the match is found is returned. If start is greater than string2, then 0 is returned. So let's take a couple of examples to understand this better. So I will type sub Instr example and I will use the same rainy day example. So I'll go to module 1. I will copy dim weather as string. I'll paste it here. You copy this line. I'll paste this here as well. And let's say the string that I want to find in this weather variable is called dim string sort as string. Let's say I want to find rainy in the sentence. Today is a rainy day. So I'll type string sort is equal to rainy. Now let's use our Instr function. Debug.print instr start parenthesis. Even though the start is optional, I will specify my position as the first position. String1 is weather, comma, string2 is string sort, and then I'll close the parenthesis. Now when I run this, I get 12. That means the rainy word is at the 12th position in the string. Let's check that. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12th position. So the rainy day is at the 12th position. So we saw the instr function returns the position of the first occurrence of one string within the other. Now let's understand the compare setting. So if you type comma here, you will notice that VBA is expecting one of these three constants, which is binary compare, database compare, and text compare. When you want to do a case insensitive search, then you use VB text compare. Let me demonstrate this. So I'm going to select VB text compare. And now I'm going to change this to capital Rainy. When you run this, you get 12 because we are doing a textual comparison. So when you're doing a textual comparison, the uppercase Rainy is the same as lowercase Rainy. If I do a VB binary compare, then see what happens. It will give you 0. See? Let me clear this and let's run this again. And I get 0. So when you're doing a VB binary compare, Rainy in capital letters is not the same as Rainy in small letters. So always remember to use the relevant option when you are searching for a string. If the case does not matter, then go ahead and select VB text compare. If the case matters, then yes, use VB binary compare. The last function that we will cover is the format function. Let's insert a new module. The format function returns a string containing an expression formatted according to instructions contained in a format expression. The syntax is format, expression, format, first day of week, first week of year. The format function syntax has these parts. Expression is any valid expression. Format, which is optional, is a valid named or user-defined format expression. First day of week is also optional. It is a constant that specifies the first day of the week. Similarly, first week of year is also optional. It specifies the first week of the year. The first day of week argument has these settings. You do not need to remember these. When you press comma, when you are typing the format function, you will get this in the drop down. Similarly, the first week of year argument has these settings. The format function is a very important function. It may look very simple, but it is very powerful in my opinion. As I mentioned, the format argument is optional and it can be a named format or a user-defined format. A named format is predefined. You cannot change it. For example, look at these two tables. One is numeric formats and the other is date-time formats. Both of these are named formats. So when you're using a format function, you can actually use, let's say, general number or currency or fixed or standard or percent as a format. Similarly, for date, you can use general date or long date or medium date or short date as a format. Let's take an example to understand these formats. So I'm going to declare a procedure called sub format example. And I'm going to declare a variable dim number stored as string. Now let's assign a value to this variable. Since it's a string, I will put the value within quotes 1.2, let's say. Now refer to the table shown. Since the number is stored as string, I can format the number to any of these formats. For example, if I choose %, the result should be in percentage. Or if I choose currency, then it should be shown as currency with the relevant currency symbol. So let's test this. So I will type debug.print format start parenthesis. So expression is my variable, comma. The format that I want to try first is %. So I'll type PERCENT, close parenthesis, and we are done. Now when I run this code, see 1.2 is now shown as 120%. Similarly, if I want to format this number as currency, I can do that. So I'm going to change this to currency. Let me clear the immediate window. When you run this, you will notice that I get question mark space 1.20. This is because the Visual Basic editor cannot display special characters. So what I will do is I'm going to change this code and say active cell dot value is equal to format number stored as string formatted as currency. So now if I go back, let's say this is my active cell A1. So the output should be displayed here. So I'll go back and now let's run this. Let's go back to the worksheet and you will see that my value has been formatted as currency. That's the rupee symbol because I am from India, so it's showing that symbol. If you are from US, it will show you dollars. If you are from UK and your regional setting has been set as UK settings, then you will see a pound symbol. Let's go back. This is how I used named formats for numbers. Now let's take the case of a date. So I'm going to delete this. I'm going to clear the immediate window. And I will declare a variable called dimdt as date. And I will initialize date as today's date, which is date. So if I, let's say debug.print, I will get the date. So if I run this, you can see that it stores the today's date. So I'll delete this. Right, now let's apply the named date format. Let's say I want to show the long date. What I'm going to do is I'll not delete this line, I'll keep this as it is and I will paste this here and I'll say format dt, long date. Now let's run this. So I'll see two outputs. See, this is the normal date that dt has and this is the formatted date. The display of these dates, whether it is short date, medium date, long date or the normal date, it all depends on your system settings. So if you go to Windows regional settings, there you can see what is the date format set for your system. Now let's understand user defined formats. Now if you look at this table, it may look overwhelming, but it's not. These are the different formats available to you. So you can use this to mix and match and then create your own formats. So let's try these formats. You can format the date using any of these symbols or you can also mix and match. Let's test this. Now instead of long date, I will type small d. As you can see, small d will give you the day as a number without a leading zero. That is from 1 to 31. So let's clear this and let's run this. Before we run this, let's delete this line. We don't need this. Now when we run this, I get 11, which is the first part of the date. If I change this to MMM, I'll get the month as an abbreviation. So if I run this, see what I get. May. And if I mix and match, let's say YYYY dash MMM dash DD. When I run this, see what I get. Let me clear the immediate window. Now when I run this, I get 2022-May-11. So this is how you mix and match these formats. Similarly, you can also format time. So dim tm as date, tm is equal to now, and then I'll type debug.print format tm as hhmm. So I want to see hours and minutes. When I run this, I get 0338. I can further customize it to show AM PM. When I run this, you'll see 3:38 AM. Okay, moving on. Now let's try and understand how to format numeric values using user-defined formats. A user-defined format expression for numbers can have from 1 to 4 sections separated by semicolons. But if you're using any of the named formats as I showed earlier, then you cannot use more than one section. Consider this table of sections. If you use one section, then the format section applies to all values. If you use two sections, then the first section applies to positive values and zeros. The second one applies to negative values. If you use three sections, the first section applies to positive values, second to negative values, and the third to zeros. Similarly, if you use 4 sections, the first section applies to positive values, second to negative, third to zeros, and fourth to null values. Let's understand this using an example. So I'm going to delete this and I'm going to declare a variable to hold the sales values. Dim sales as long. Sale is equal to 125,000. Debug.print format sales, comma. I want to show this value with a $sign, so I'll type $, and I want these numbers to have 1,000 separator, so I will type hash, comma, hash, hash, 0, close quote, and close parenthesis. Now I'm going to delete these values from the immediate window and I will run this code. And you will notice that the number 125,000 has been formatted as a currency with 1,000 separator. Now let's say the sales were down by 125,000 this year and you want to show the value in negative. So if you change 125,000 to minus 125,000 and when you run the code, see what happens. You get the negative sign like this. This is okay, but what if you wanted to show the positive values like this, but the negative values within parentheses? So how will we do that? For this, we will have to use the second section. What I will do is I will copy this format and then I will insert a colon because the second section is for negative values. Then I will type my parenthesis. I'll put the format and close parenthesis. So now when I run this, see what happens. I'm going to delete this. When I run this, I get 125,000 within parentheses. So remember, the second section is for negative values. Similarly, you can use the third section for 0. So what if this was 0 and you did not want to show a simple 0, but I'm going to use a funny expression. Let's say I want to show whoa. Obviously, you'll never use this. I just wanted to show you that you can do this as well. So if the sales is 0, then you will not see 0, but you will see this message. So if I run this, see, whoa. So if it is 120,000, you will get 120,000. If it is minus 120,000, you will see the values in a parenthesis. And if it is 0, then you will not see 0, you will see whoa. Once you begin working with the format function, you will realize its potential. Of the 10 string functions that I covered in this video, this is my favorite as this gives me so much power. So go ahead, try and experiment with this function and let me know how it goes. Initially, it may look overwhelming, but trust me, it is not once you understand the basics between named arguments and user-defined arguments. Then you can mix and match and create your own formats. Time for a quick recap. In this video, we learned how to manipulate strings using those 10 commonly used string functions. We saw how to extract a substring from a string, how to change the case of a string from lowercase to uppercase to sentence case and so on. We also saw how to remove spaces from a string and so many other things. If you still have any questions, feel free to leave a comment in the comment section below. Or as usual, you can also email me on support@teamexcel.com. I recently started a Facebook group called Microsoft Excel-VBA. So go ahead, join that. The link is in the description. If you have any question, please post it in that group. If I'm online, I will definitely answer your question. Otherwise, there are other experts who would love to help you out. Right, a quick reminder, I will be posting 2 videos every week, one on Monday and the other on Thursday. If you like the kind of content that I'm putting on this channel and you would like to extend support towards this channel, or specifically if you want to learn Visual Basic Programming from scratch, then I recommend watching the playlist because that is where I have kept the videos in a specific order. Go ahead, watch them, drop a couple of likes, and if you still have not subscribed to this channel, then go ahead and subscribe to this channel by clicking on the bell icon. And I will see you on Monday when I will talk to you about automating a worksheet. You'll not only be adding data to it, but you'll be retrieving data from it, reading it, editing it, resaving it, and so many other things.